So Srikanth, what does crafting our future mean to you?
I feel God can give us only starting circumstances, but we make our own destiny. The future is in our hands, and we have enough opportunities to craft in whatever way we wish. If you envision or if you want your kids to be in a future where there are equal opportunities or a sustainable living, you might as well craft that future. When 3.5 years ago, I was bothering with this question of what kind of future I want to be in. And I had clearly two choices. I could have joined a well-built organization, which I call it as past, or create something new, which I call it as future. So I rather decided that I want to create my own future so that I have enough direction to craft in whatever way I wish to be in. When I was finishing my school at MIT, everybody began asking me, why am I thinking like a stupid or an idiot in their sense? And including my parents were saying, why didn't you get a good job and get married to a pretty girl? And he will tell you even today if you ask him the same question. And I was having my own thoughts about it. And so we threw stones on Aristotle, everybody threw stones on me when I was about to board my plane back to India. But this is what inspired me, and this is my passion, to create my own future by setting up a company which is worth millions today.
So in the true sense, decided to craft your future rather than join someone else's future and in their journey. What has been what has been the single moment when you decided to follow your dream? Can you share one of those single moments with us?
Of course, I followed my heart in whatever I did so far in this 25 years of my career, other than when it comes to meeting girls. I clearly had a clear direction ever since I'm a child. So I always followed my heart than my mentors or my teachers. Of course, I took their suggestions, especially when I came to post-secondary school level, which is a intermediate level in the AP State Board. So I wanted to pursue sciences, either to become a doctor or an engineer. And I very well came to a conclusion that I might not do justice being a doctor, but I can create wonders by being an engineer. So I decided to join science stream in the intermediate level after passing out my 10th grade with over 90%. But to my surprise, I was told people with visual challenges cannot take up science. As the intro said, I'm not an impaired, I'm a challenged. I just want to correct that. So I faced discrimination, and it was devastating for me to see that I can't take up sciences. So I told myself, why should I follow everybody and take up arts and be a linguist or a professor or a literate? I rather want to change this system and change how things are done so far. And that's how I followed my heart and said, look, I'm going to fight with the government until I achieve it. Rather, I'm not going to take up economics or do something. And of course, I got permission after 6 months after a huge legal battle. And that not only allowed me to succeed with a district rank, but also helped the younger generations to find platform to fulfill their aspirations and their goals as well. And this is what a leader envisioned to do for other people. And this is one of the instances that is close to my heart, where I created something in the system and left a lasting legacy that lives forever, though I'm not here in this world.
Fantastic. And having done this in terms of coming back, finding a method to start an industry, work with these people, how does it feel now to be living your dream?
I think if you asked me this question 3 years ago, I would have had a different answer than now. But I think now we are at a scale and we have done everything, and now it seems road is all soft, it's a cakewalk. But that's not true. Living our dream definitely makes ourselves happy, but it comes at a cost. So when we were just about beginning, It was always, it was challenging and it was problematic everywhere. And I can ask you, if you start a manufacturing company and see, you would have definitely understand how difficult it is.
What we've heard from you is about a lot of grit and determination. But I'd like to ask that, is determination all it takes to do what you did? Or are there other things that you need to do besides determination to make a difference?
Say, for example, if you are given everything on a platter to be able to succeed in life from your parents or from your ancestors, maybe determination has small role to play there. But I believe we cannot create something new by sitting in the lap of luxury. In fact, research shows our brains are hardwired to produce our best efforts when there is only hardship. I faced so much hardship in my life that it has become an addiction for me. But I also think if your response to challenges is to say, bring it on, and I'm sure the whole world will conspire to help you succeed. And
very nice. From your formative years, I would like you to share about one of the experiences. Was the journey a lonely journey?
there are many experiences that I can share of, but let me share an experience which I actually remembered and then which made me feel lonely, and that is the loneliness that I'm fighting right now. So, when I was 6, when I was attending a government school far away from my village. So, of course, I can now tell you my all senses were keenly developed, simply surviving walking on the village roads for about 2 years. Though I worked hard, get there to school every day, what do you end up doing, right? I mean, you expect your friends to play with you and you want to be with them and all. But that was not the case in mine. Nobody would wanted to play with me. Teachers does not know how to teach me. So they would make me sit in the last bench. Maybe I remember Lord Buddha would have sat or had the same experience when he was sitting in Lumbini before he got enlightened. But as a 6-year-old, I didn't knew about that. I just wanted to be like a regular kid and wanted to play with everybody. And that was the time I felt extremely lonely. And dear friends, this is the loneliness that has caused because of the stigma and separation. This is why I call loneliness can only cause by being poor. So that was the time I felt poor. I felt I'm the poorest of the poor child. It's not because I don't have money, it's because I felt lonely. This is why I tell, if we can fight the loneliness of poverty, we can create and do something to people, and which will in turn benefit you in return.
So having done this, Srikanth, having done your engineering from MIT, coming back, setting up an industry, being a very, very successful entrepreneur today, what does it take for you to swim against the tide?
Oh. If 14-year-old girl can climb mountains, I'm sure we can swim against the tide.
Yeah.
But in a diagonal direction, right? Because, see, when we are swimming against the tide, we will be slashed down by this tide. You face enough adversities, discrimination. So to swim against the tide, you definitely need courage, dedication, and vision. By the way, I'm not talking about the vision that we see through. I'm talking about the internal vision that we all have. Because I often face this question, funnily enough, many people come and ask me, hey, you are walking very well. Maybe you might have seen me walking on the stage, so you might think, does he have any vision? So people don't understand the difference versus sight versus vision. So I want to make it clear today that sight is for the eye and vision is for the mind. So if you have vision, I'm sure you can swim against the tide. Whenever someone come to me and say, Srikanth, you can do nothing, I question the words and say, why I can't? And if somebody would come to, maybe if Vivek comes and come to me and says, I want to hold your hand and bring you up the stage, I climb over his head and proceed to the next level. Because I believe world is full of no-sayers on the ground level, but as you proceed to the next level, you meet people who believe in us and who see everything is possible. And that's my policy in life.
Having talked about vision, can you share what's your vision for the future, both for yourself and for Bollant Enterprises?
I want to be in a future where equal opportunities are given to everyone across this globe, irrespective of the outcome and the certainty. Because the outcome can be decided in the second step, but the opportunities must exist and must be given so that we have enough chances to prove. As you talk about our company, we wanted to be the billion-dollar business conglomerate and be a role model for other companies to look at and follow our footsteps in empowering the world so that the world can empower by itself.
So when you say you want to empower the world, how do you look at doing that? Do you want to do that by trying to change the society?
See, we all knew this, right? I mean, I worked in Lead India 2020, chief mentored by my friend and a role model, Dr. Kalam. And we all knew this. Though human impact is temporary. So, you inspire, you get out of this room and you have lunch and you forget what happened. So, it takes a lot of efforts and time to change the society. So that's why I feel we should try and empower people around us so that they can transform themselves and they can empower other people and thereby they can empower the society.
Fantastic. I would also like to talk a little about the objective that you have. Is that a pure social objective when you look at what you're doing, or do you look at it slightly differently?
When I started Bollant Industries, which operates in a traditional manufacturing sector, I again had two choices because life is all about choices. So we can either go left or right or back and front. But if you stand in the junction, you won't get anywhere else. So the similar way, I had two choices. Either I want to build a charity that might last or that might not last if the funding is there, or build a commercial enterprise, or build a company that can last forever and have a lasting impact. That is a social enterprise. And that's what I did. We didn't want to do a charity because it's not sustainable. Neither we didn't want to be a commercial enterprise who looks at only profits and not the impact. But we want to be slightly different. Want to marry the growth and profitability aspect with the human impact by being a social space. And that was, of course, challenging when we began because banks wouldn't fund us because we are not making money. I mean, we were making money, but we were not a commercial enterprise like yours. And philanthropists would not fund us because we are not a charity. So I had to attract or research or find these like-minded individuals who would fulfill our vision. And I'm sure I have a lot of friends from the audience who are supporting and who are the best support like you as audience across India. So we began as a social enterprise. It was challenging in the beginning, but once you get like-minded individuals like you, it becomes things easier to take it to the next level.
Towards the end, I'd like to ask, what would be one wish that you would want to leave for the world? What is the one wish you want to make to change the world?
I think I have a similar wish that I've already mentioned, which is each one of us should have equal opportunities and opportunities so that we can thrive and achieve and create wonders and create a better and fairer and cleaner world for all of us to live in.
Thank you very much, Srikanth. And what is the vision that you want to create for the company?
Let me talk a little bit about our company to make you understand this. So 3.5 years ago, we started Bollant because we want to provide mainstream opportunities for not the disabled people, but for the able-bodied people. Because that's what we believe in our tagline. We also employ able-bodied workforce. What we are doing is simply innovating in a very traditional and not a very sexy industry, but hoping to create a ripple that would have impact on multiple sectors of the country. When we started Bollant, we had our simple insight that led me to start Bollant Industries is very simple. Packaging industry in India was heavily fragmented and is heavily fragmented and occupied by boutique guys. So I simply thought if I can bring in my MIT level thinking, we could do some magic. And that's what we did. We have fundamentally altered the dynamics of the packaging industry by bringing down the cost of capital of cottage level player from 50% to 15%. And that actually supercharged our growth. We are bringing products at scale to the market, more importantly, doing it the clean way. So our vision is to have a triple bottom line approach to create products that people will be proud of using by utilizing the workforce who are so-called as useless and by using renewable materials and renewable energy sources. Currently, we are a startup because we are about 25 crores in annual revenue with 10 manufacturing plants in 3 southern states. You know what? We are on day 1 of our growth and we have a long road to go. And I'm sure we have miles to walk before we sleep.
I wish you great success, Srikanth, and thank you very much for sharing your vision with all of us.